Hey y'all, welcome back to another video. Today I'm doing something a little bit different. I decided I wanted to go through the game and single out all the different random NPC pedestrians that are running around and then throw those into a tier list. Because I'm always so distracted by the scooter guy, I got curious about, who was what and where they are. So this is that list. With that in mind, I should mention that there are no NPCs slash pedestrians running around at all on snowy roads or the rooftop levels. There's also nobody on Highway Loop. And I figured there might be like a hitchhiker on Highway Loop. I figured there might be like a worshiper in that church on the rooftop levels. Not so. And as far as snowy roads, that place is barren. But I guess it would make sense. That being said, we're going to get right into the list, the tier list right here, and it is to start with the Clueless Businessman. The Clueless Businessman can be found on the downtown level on the sidewalks in crowds. They're headed to work, they've got suitcases, it's raining harsh, they're running with their hat. It looks great, but at the same time, fella, go back to your house. There's a tournament taking place here in downtown and you shouldn't be here. I think that puts them, somewhere in D tier. Moving on, we have the Prison Guard. I think everybody's seen the Prison Guard on Prison Passage, especially if you go down into the actual prison itself and off of the boat, down the ramp, and in there. And the great thing about the Prison Guard is he's actually got a weapon. And if you stop and look at him for a minute here, he'll actually be firing it. It doesn't do any damage to you that I can figure out, but at the very least, this is an NPC pedestrian with a weapon. He knows that shit is going down, and he's prepared for that, so S tier. Next, we have what looks to be some sort of lost teenager from the junkyard level. Maybe some sort of drifter or nomad. Seems to have some sort of a relation to the old man from Courage the Cowardly Dog. But, yeah, outside of that, I hardly ever saw him. Barely ever noticed him. Actually found out he existed from making this video, so F tier. Unremarkable. Moving on, we have what is a very committed mailman from the suburbs level. If you can go to the top of the map where there is all those residential buildings, you will find probably the most committed government worker in this entire game. I would honestly put him lower because we don't really see him that often. He hasn't made a huge impression, but I mean, you have to admire the dedication. C tier. Next up, we have the drive-in theater employee. I'm not sure actually if this guy works there or not, or if he's just some guy that's, trapped there running around. But either way, he was there to see a movie and he got more than he bargained for. So no matter how you slice it, this man is either a cinephile or he's a movie theater worker, which means I can put him in no lower than B tier, no questions asked. Now we're on to the big guns. Mr. Backpack, the backpack guy. Probably the reason this video is getting made, aside from another character that's a little further down our list. But if you've been seeing any of the clips on my channel, the backpack guy is probably one of the most distracting NPCs in any video game ever. However, we have to give the guy a lot of credit, because of all of the people on the list so far who have been doing either jobs or listing lazily about, like our guy here, the backpack guy, I mean, he's an icon. He greets you. He brings you into the game. He nestles you in its bosom. He shows you that, hey, welcome to the world. I'm prepared. None of the rest of the people you're gonna meet are prepared. Easy S tier. Backpack guy is an icon, a legend, and dare I say, a mensch. Next, we've got our escaped convict, who is just kind of more of another fodder NPC running around. Not really anything too interesting about them, except for that they've escaped prison, which is pretty impressive. Problem is they're on a boat, so there's really not far for you to run when you break out of prison, when that prison is on a boat, and then that boat, which is a prison, is parking at a prison. So, D tier, criminals. Next up, we have the lawyer. F tier. Next is a guy I found wearing flannel in the drive-in movie level. I didn't expect to see this man. I found him, he was walking around just random area. I think I found him under the bridge the first time I saw him, which was pretty funny because he might just be like a bridge hobo or something. But he may have a shotgun. That being said, since he's pretty nondescript, I am going to throw him into F tier. This guy right here is called the Construction Phantom. So this is another NPC I found by accident as I was exploring the freeway level. Yeah, I was in the construction area. The lights were off. Jaffe said this game needs to be dark as hell, so I barely noticed this guy, which is why he's a phantom. He may be just a construction guy, a repeat of a character that's later in the list, but you know what? This guy, he's got his own theme, his own vibe, even theme music, so we're just going to go ahead and actually throw the construction phantom right up there into A tier. Moving on, we have another character from the freeway. This is the panicked nurse. You can see this guy if you ramp up into the hospital and drive around. You'll see multiple of them just running around panicking, and one of them might even have a clipboard. It will remind you of the dedicated mailman. So with that in mind, I think that the panicked nurse goes into C tier. Now here's a fella who does not give a shit that there is a tournament taking place in his town. My man said he was gonna get his fucking steps in, and he went outdoors. This is the craziest jogger I have ever known in any video game. This guy is completely out of his mind. He's off his rocker. He's completely lost his marbles. So with that, the jogger, just based off of his absolute pure iron will, top of A tier, not S tier, because again, these fellas, they're prepared. Up next, we have a scourge, an absolute ass, a bastard even, the scooter guy. Now, this scooter riding son of a bitch has distracted me more times than I can tell you. Gotten me killed, gotten me thrown off course, gotten me attacked by people I didn't even know were following me. This damn scooter rider, possibly, even though by rights, it should be an F tier character because technically it's not even a pedestrian. They've got a vehicle. They should be in the tournament. That aside, S tier. The scooter guy epitomizes an S tier pedestrian because they're not even a pedestrian. They've got a vehicle. This is a character that's bigger than Mr. Grimm. Up next is the shirtless hobo from the suburbs level. Yet another guy that's just kind of running around in that residential area. Not really an interesting guy, just, hey, he doesn't have a shirt, and, I mean, geez, that's about as unprepared as you can be out here in a situation like this. D tier. Next up is the doctor from the hospital in the freeway level. He just kind of runs around panicking, doesn't seem like he can get control of the situation, because everything is gone to shit. First of all, he's really confused about why his hospital is shaped and sized like this. It looks more like an asylum. We won't get into it. Either way, the doctor goes into B tier. I think the doctor and the cinema worker, they have a lot in common, especially in a situation like this. All you can do is sit back and watch, right? Moving on to our final two, we have the junkyard foreman, and this is a man who, while he is on foot, it's assumed that he has a company vehicle nearby that he can use to get away from all of this carnage, but I don't know if the foreman has any previous knowledge or any prior knowledge of the Yellow Jacket tunnel underneath. Perhaps he could go and hide under there for some safety, but considering he makes the decision instead of doing that to run out into the field of battle, C tier. And our final pedestrian in Twisted Metal Black, from the suburbs level, the butt-scratching redneck. Here he is. He's always running around with a drink in his hand. I'm going to choose to assume that that's Dr. Pepper because there is not a greater drink on this fine earth. He goes straight into A tier. The man, while not S tier, he's prepared enough to try and stay hydrated in a situation like this, so he's got a good chance of surviving a lot longer than the others. At least those that are, below him on the list.